mentioned Grimoire back there. Now, I've heard you speak about the green Grimoire. What's the premise behind your green Grimoire?
Oh, all my stories, I've got to go back a bit, haven't I, to get to so we'll have to go back as well. The seed of the green Grimoire was planted at the beginning of the pandemic. I realized that all of my druidry, all of my spiritual path had become service to the community. So I was running a moot. I was doing the podcast for OBOD. I'd been running the OBOD, the Gorset at the Longman for 20 years. And, I was organizing the OBOD gatherings. It was all service. It was all, in service to the community. And of course, when the pandemic hit, most of that disappeared, including all my gigs and everything. And I just thought, what do I believe now? What do I believe? And then through the journey of those couple of years, one of the things I noticed was that people who I knew and loved and respected, some of them started to show a very different side of themselves on Facebook and on the internet when it came to things like vaccinations and all that kind of stuff that was going on. And I saw a community that I had been serving, in areas at least, in meltdown of people against each other. And I looked at that and I thought, oh God, if that is a pagan, I don't know if I'm a pagan anymore, because I can't turn against my friends just because they have a different view of the world. And so I just stepped back and reevaluated everything, really. And paganism during that time started to feel, again, very human. And that's never been my thing. Back in the 90s, yes, I was at some of those road protest demonstrations, but that was in protection of the land, and I still hold that as part of my path. But as far as humans are concerned, we can look after ourselves. I don't need to involve my druidry in an extremely human side. And so I started to look more and more just to nature and then to animism. And I started to realize that that's actually what I've always been, an animist. If you listen to my lyrics, Amber Crown and Standing Stone, I am the face within the leaves, I'm the voice within the trees. I am boy, I am man, the voice of the changing land. I have been your constant guide from your cave, but not once does it say that's a human-shaped thing. It always says that I am this thing that has been with you all along. And I've always been here with you as a species, but not just with you. We've been with Oscar as well, with the birds, with the trees, with the plants and animals, And so I kind of thought, I was talking to Kerry and I just said, it to me, I've got, like many pagans, I've got hundreds of books on my shelf. And I know this is Moon Books podcast. So I'm not going to diss books, all right? Not on your very own show, all right? I'm not going to do that.
You're fine.
All
You're
books
fine.
are very, very important. This is a fantastic author here. I'm not saying it. But at the same time, I felt like I needed to turn my face away from those pages and towards the natural world again.
Yeah.
And so instead
I
of
think
pagan books,
we all need to do that. Everyone needs to do that. Yeah.
So I started to read books by people like Robert Macfarlane and the sort of nature writers, who weren't overtly pagan, but obviously had a seed within them of that same kind of energy that I loved. And I found a great deal of comfort there. There's a beautiful book called Braiding Sweetgrass that is very similar. I would thoroughly recommend, about that relationship, animistic relationship to the natural world. And I realized that the real book, had already been written, and it was the book of nature. It was all out there, it was all there, not just out there, but in here, because I'm a part of nature. I'm not separate. I as a human being, I'm just one species, as I've already said, on a planet of infinite species. And And so me and Kerry just said, that's what we'll call the Green Grimoire. The book of nature is the Green Grimoire. And that took me deeper by literally going down to the harbour and watching crows. And I thought, I was looking at their behaviour. And if you want to know the Morrigan, if you want to know, even to a certain degree, the Valkyrie, watch crows. They'll teach you, that they're the teachers of that thing. If you want to know the energy of the horned god, even now, it might be a bit late, but head off and find the rut of the deer, and watch those stags and watch that energy and watch those hinds and just see the interaction and that power. And it's ironic, really, that we as humans connect the horned god with Beltane. But actually it's Samhain where the horned god is at its most powerful in the natural world of the deer, not a Beltane at all, So that's what the Green Grimoire is. It's the book of nature. It's basically saying, if you open up enough, and that in itself is a journey to open up enough, most of what you need is there in the book of nature, in the Green Grimoire.
Yeah. It's connection, isn't it? It's opening up to connect with the land you live on, the land around you. Very important. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the thing that opens you up to that most of all is the senses. And I think I did at Jonathan's conference some time ago, I did a senses meditation where, people can walk into the woods and they can say, I walk in the woods, but I don't see anything. All I hear is birds singing. And you think, well, how are you walking into those woods? What's on your mind? Are you thinking about the bills that you've got to pay, or have you shut that off somehow? And are you walking slowly into the woods or far? If you're hearing a lot of birds, well, birds are the sentinels of the forest. That what they're saying is right to every other living creature in that woodland. They're saying, get the hell out of here. The top predator of the whole of the planet has just walked into.
Human alert! Human alert!
Yeah, human alert. And so to go into the woods and to find a sit spot or a little sacred grove to sit there, to meditate, to turn off that voice in your head, to open to the senses of feeling the wind on your skin, smelling the earth around you, hearing and deeply listening to the forest around, sitting with not moving your head but watching your peripheral vision of your eyes. So because that's where you can see the biggest amount of movement is actually on the edge. You look straight forward and just look at the edge. Sit there for 20 minutes, half an hour doing nothing, and suddenly the woods accepts you as part of its own environment. And that's when the fox will come back out and start to walk around. That's when the woodland and everything starts to accept you into what it is. And that's when you start to really sort of feel that connection with what is actually there, rather than bringing all of the baggage that you carry around day to day with you as you walk into the forest.